Hello, guys. Welcome back to S3D. And I made a very embarrassing mistake. Apparently, I recorded a 16-minute video without audio, talking about, well, potentially, this hobby coming to an end. So I don't want to end this on the sour note. I'm just gonna explain to you the whole situation. I've been through many, many hobbies in my life, and I think collectibles has pretty much run its course. I am beginning to experience a lot of the things that I experienced with my past hobbies. In fact, I experienced these things years ago, and I was just too how do you say, too addicted, I guess. This hobby itself is actually very time consuming. It takes up a lot of space. Also, mental inventory, believe it or not. Because the fact that this hobby contains a lot of genres, I think this is actually the one that I spend most time thinking about. So that actually makes it even more difficult hobby to walk away from, due to the fact that there's so many things happening with this hobby. Now I'm gonna give you guys some examples about some of my past hobbies. The most expensive hobby I had was when I was into cars. You know, uh, let's just say I spent pretty much every penny I made when I was in the car business. Just I was selling cars, but I was also buying cars for myself, financing them. At the end of the day, I struggled to pay the bills because I was spending an embarrassing amount of money on these freaking cars. And it got to the point where, like, I'm actually not even enjoying the hobby because I'm stressing out about, where I'm going to park my cars, where I'm going to have to store my cars. I was paying up to $2,000 a month on insurance, and I was also paying for storage. My house didn't have enough space for me to park like five cars, so I had to put like two cars in storage. And I was paying insurance on them. Plus, I was also financing them. It is ridiculous, but yeah, that was that was one of my most expensive hobbies. At the end, before I walk away from the business as well as walk away from the hobby, I had like five cars, and I basically just drive my daily driver, which is basically like a four-cylinder piece of crap that I had on company lease. It is embarrassing, and I honestly feel like it's kind of like the similar situation with collectibles. I have a lot of these figures that just sits in boxes, very expensive figures, stuff that people actually want. But and I'm not doing anything with them because I don't have the time or the energy to just deal with it. So yeah, kind of like that. And then I got into guns because I thought it was a lot cheaper than cars. Cars are like what, like 25 to like $50,000 a piece, right? I did actually got a GTR, which is like over 100 grand, and I financed that thing for like 3 months, and I decided it wasn't for me. Yeah, nowadays it would be like, buying a whole bunch of statues and decided, like, what am I going to do with these, like, $2,000 statues, right? Kind of like the same thing, it's nice. You had one, you drive it for like a couple hours, and then you be like, what the hell did I just do, right? Yeah, I mean, kind of like that. With guns, I thought it has more utility value and stuff like that, and I was gonna get more stuff out of it. I can take it to the range and stuff like that. At one point, I got up to like 15 guns, and the embarrassing part was, I was actually using none of them because I did at the time, and I spent most of my time online just looking at guns or debating about guns with like people on the internet. Oh, that was profoundly embarrassing. It's like I was actually into airsoft before that. Well, actually, no. I was into airsoft before I got into cars. And it's kind of like the same thing. Back in the day when I had airsoft guns, I have like maybe 30 to 50 guns, and I wasn't playing airsoft. They were just sitting in boxes. Uh, somewhere. People will be calling us chairsofters because we don't play airsoft. We just talk about airsoft on online forums. And honestly, I feel like collectibles, kind of like the same thing, is falling into that situation. I'm making YouTube videos more than I'm enjoying collectibles, or I'm out there, involved in arguments and debates about these collectibles instead of actually, doing anything with these, right? I think a lot of people can relate. A lot of people fall into that genre, and I feel like it is becoming to the point that this thing is becoming extremely expensive and unhealthy due to the financial situation. The biggest problem with me for this hobby is how much mental inventory it takes. I'm just getting stressed out by these things. And then, I also have to worry about selling them because it's becoming more and more difficult to be selling these kind of stuff online. I think like these online platforms have all pretty much failed. And then there's just all kind of weird situation involving this hobby right now. I know, in many hobbies there are bad apples, and I do actually have to warn you guys about a lot of these bad apples. I have actually never experienced these amount of shady ass people until I actually got into this hobby. The amount of shady, uh, you know, unsavory people in this hobby just makes me actually disgusts me to the point that I really don't want to deal with it. I don't want to name anybody specifically, but over the years, we have seen some really, really bad examples from people, doing like fake charities, and then people trying to gain sympathies for like family issues and stuff like that. I actually got myself involved in any of these because I thought I was helping these guys out. But at the end of the day, in reality, like these people, they were just using that situation to get free toys and to bolster their online reputation when none of these people are like actual good people, in my opinion. I remember when my pets passed away, and since I am not, how do you say it? At some point, these type of people actually influence you into doing like something similar. And I have posted quite a few things online. People saying like, "Oh, well, you're just trying to get sympathy from your viewers." Yeah, honestly, that's exactly what I was looking for during those times. But I can look back and tell you guys, I made some mistakes. With some of those contents and stuff like that. It's really a private matter, and I really have just should probably just deal with that between me and my friends, instead of trying to advertise these things. But I do appreciate you guys, all the people that reach out to me online. In fact, I have someone who reached out to me in the video game that I'm playing right now, and telling me, they're hoping that I'm doing okay, and I do really appreciate that. The thing is, the thing with this hobby is that these companies like they're always gonna be, doing the same thing. It's like every hobby. The really nice thing about this hobby in general is like the incremental innovation that they put into these type of products we have actually seen significant changes. We have companies that are willing to go above and beyond to give us stuff that actually looks good, that functions, and are affordable. I don't want to keep naming these companies because we all know who they are. They put out stuff that just boggles the mind. If I care more about these kind of stuff, I would definitely be like all in on these products. But nowadays, I feel like this hobby has run its course. I've gotten to the point where, I kind of realize all the things that I did wrong with this hobby and all the problems that I should, consider going forward. So yeah, at the end of the day, this is a hobby. These things are utilities. If you're not actually using them, you're not, getting your mileage out of your $25 on these things. You really should reconsider, because as yeah, as it seems like this is a cheaper hobby, right? It actually takes up a lot of mental inventory. You'd be spending a lot of time thinking about, obsessing about these kind of things on top of, the time that you spend look like hunting for these things. It's just like, you can associate that to like a full blown addiction. Really, it is like, if you think about it mentally, if you go through therapy, this is a form of a very destructive type of addiction, which seems like a lot of people are talking about the mental health issues like depression and anxiety. Well, that's the cause of your depression, anxiety, your hobby. And yeah, don't let it get to that point. It is time to step back and reevaluate your situation, because sometimes a hobby is helpful, but sometimes it can also be the opposite. So yeah, so I think at this point, I am pretty much gonna step back and reevaluate these things. I'm actually getting rid of a huge portion of my collectibles. Ideally, I want to get rid of 100%, but I know there are some stuff that are just, you know, so cheap to the point that there's really no point in selling it. You know, uh, it's like, I buy a gun plug kit for like $20, and the value online is like $3, right? At that point, I might as well just keep it, you know. Pass it on, or maybe one day I will find a renewed interest in that same item, instead of having to pay like $20 for it again. The thing with high-end collectibles, I'm done with it. It's like my GTR, like $120,000 car, finance it for 3 months, realize I'm a complete idiot, and never look back, kind of situation. Yeah, it's nice, but it's unsustainable. And yeah, if I had that GTR, I'll bet you I'll probably upgrade to a Lamborghini or some crazy shit at some point, which probably I'll be eating McDonald's or like a Huel for the rest of my life. Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to end this on a sour note. I'm just gonna give you guys a realistic perspective, because a lot of people in this hobby take it way too seriously. And the thing is, I kind of understand how people deal with these kind of things. A lot of people, instead of going through like traditional therapy, people tend to self-medicate. Some people, do substance abuse, which is terrible, and then some people find hobbies. The thing with hobby is, it does help you. It has therapeutic properties, but I don't think it actually replaces like real life therapy. The thing is, a lot of people use these things to, keep their mind off like stressful situations, PTSD, and all kind of stuff. And yeah, at one point I was, every time when I'm getting stressed out, I would just go to the Target stores, the big box stores, and trying to find these collectibles, thinking that once I get it, once I get the dopamine hit from getting these collectibles in my hand, that would alleviate my symptoms of like PTSD, stress, anxiety, and all that. It's very, very temporary. It really has like no real lasting effect. And over the years, I just figure, let's keep going until one day I just realized, well, the things I was doing was the same thing I was doing before, and the thing before. It's just like the same thing, but different, with a different face, different. Going from hobby to hobby and hobby. So nowadays, I just kind of realize, I probably should not be using hobbies as a mean to deal with my issues. And using that approach, I have actually overcome a lot of my personal issues without having to resort to constantly going to buy stuff. Because To me, honestly, that is not a solution. Keep buying all these things, getting the 20, 30 minute dopamine hit on these things, and then I had to keep going chasing after the new one over and over. It's actually more about buying stuff than actually buying something to enjoy for its utility values. I mean, I accumulated up to like 50 to like 60 plus Damashi figures, and I'm doing absolutely nothing with them. And I also accumulated like, over 300 plus Gunpla kits. And I end up doing absolutely nothing with them. So yeah, essentially, once I put all the things into perspective, I realized, I should focus these things more about their utility value. Nowadays I still have a car and I enjoy driving it. It has its utility value. I just don't take it as serious as I did before when it was a hobby. And I still have guns for personal defense purposes, but I'm not crazy about them anymore. I will use them if I actually have to use them to protect myself. But for the most part, I'm not obsessed about it. I'm not constantly debating about it. Dude, I would not get into an argument with anybody about any of these things because, in my opinion, it is ridiculous. But the fact that I would go online and debate and argue with people about these plastic toys really put things into perspective for me. It is like we're all taking these things way too seriously. It's a hobby, and let it be a hobby. Anyway, I don't want this to be a very negative video, and I don't want to keep ranting on and on. I'm actually not quitting this hobby because I feel like this is something that is worth venturing back into at some point. I would probably say like I'm taking an extensive break, but in the future, I'm not looking at these things like I'm gonna need to have every freaking figure in this line. I am only gonna get the things I really want. Yeah, like when I was into other hobbies, I have this completionist mindset, which I need to have everything and I need to collect every line. I need to let the people, I need to let the world know how obsessed I am about these brands. Well, these brands are owned by corporations. These corporations don't care about anybody other than their own profits. So why am I gonna be the free? Why do I need to volunteer myself to be their corporate mascot? What am I getting out of it? Are they sponsoring me to like shield their products? Like, what am I getting out of it? Nothing. So yeah, at the end of the day, this is something for all of us to think about. And here's the thing. Here's the most important takeaway, in my opinion, about this kind of thing. When you're dealing with personal issues and stuff like that, honestly, I think nowadays with how much how easily access therapy is available to everybody, I would consider everyone if you have dealing with personal issues, seek out therapy versus trying to drown yourself in any kind of hobby, because the hobby itself, it's kind of like medication. It treats the symptom, but it doesn't treat the cause. What you really want to do is, you want to, target the cause of your personal issues. And I think therapy is a lot more effective. With a hobby, you just end up like, you end up buying a whole bunch of stuff. But, at the end of the day, you just end up with a whole bunch of stuff and you're back to square one with your personal issues. That's never actually gets resolved. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I think it's time for me to step away. I'm thinking taking a year off, maybe 2 years off, and decide, what kind of stuff that I want to get into. Obviously, I'm probably never really gonna ever go back into the high end stuff. I feel like that stuff is, it's nice, but it's ridiculous. It's like Lamborghinis, Bugattis. Like, what's the point, right? Other than like you want to be like some guy flashing off your rental cars on social media to give people the illusion that you're successful or something bullshit like that. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.